Hey everyone, I'm Deanna and I'm inviting you to my book launch, Soul Cry, on this Saturday, the 27th of July, at the Fresh Press Factory. We starting at 5 p.m. sharp, no training time, on time.
Sharp. Welcome to the first episode of Old Talk with Cassie Ramsey, and we're here with Deanna. So, Deanna, you have a book coming up.
Yes.
But before we get into the book launch and all of that, let's tell people who is Deanna Cooper. What's the deal with Deanna Cooper? Where are we starting?
How to starting? Alright, so Deanna Cooper Mohammed.
Yeah.
Basically grew up in Laramie. Started writing in Standard 5. I do really like putting myself out there, so it's something that I always hit.
Right.
You know, start with the basic roses are red.
Yeah.
And over the years it developed. When I went to secondary school, I would have attended San Fernando East, better known as Pleasantville Junior Sec.
Big up P-Phil one time.
At that time, school was junior sec. It was not 5 years. Junior sec, senior sec.
You're giving out we age, Deanna.
Yeah, boy. And I had a social studies teacher by the name of Mr. Bridgewater. So he would have seen that talent for writing, and he said, hey, I'm going to enter into this essay writing competition.
Yeah.
I say, so I never win nothing, you know, I don't really think you should enter me in that. I won the competition. It was hosted by Republic Bank, and I would have won $200 to open a savings account.
That's not force. Republic Bank. Republic Bank. 200 by.
That was back in 2003.
Still. The bank, $200. All right, Republic. I hope you guys, you know, when you're sponsoring things now, you do a lot better now, Republic, because 200. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the first kind of official thing that you did with writing. Yeah. All right. So. Where did that take you next? You just say, well, all right, someday I want to write a book, or is it that you did other competitions and any other thing like that?
That died.
Oh, you just?
It died. Yeah, and not until I was
disappointed to Mr. Bridgewater.
School, as a teenager, you know, you're going through.
Yeah.
And I was in Form 3 at the time. I was praying. I did not want to go senior sec.
Right.
So, if you know Pleasantville, you know the background. Morning shift, evening shift is always a fight, is always something.
Drama.
And school just started to become depressing for me. And we had a guidance counselor by the name of Miss Sobian George. And I was telling her, because I remember in Form 3, sometimes for the whole day, not a class, not a teacher, and the environment is too much. I literally wanted to drop out of school. Right? And she was like, you know, why don't you start writing? Because she would always do poetry in school, and that is where I started back. But I still didn't share anything until probably I was 19, 20. Started going to church, started, you know, trying to find back the Lord. And from there, you know, did little performances in church. I did something with Youth for Christ. One of those pieces that I did is called Love and KFC. That was actually
KFC, I think I heard that before.
That was actually on TV6 for a while. So that piece is in here.
Beautiful.
And that, I think, is something that most people loved and could have identified with, because at that point in time, you know, you're not knowing your worth as a young lady. And I would have seen so many girls, you jump in all this man car and a box of KFC and you just give your whole self away. Right? And I mean, even as an adult, if you don't know your worth, it don't have to be KFC, something else.
Anything.
But the concept remains the same across the board.
So Soul Cry. This is where we at right now. I saw you posted the other day that this took you 3 years? 4 years? 8 years.
I started writing a lot of the pieces. As I said, it's just there and I never shared it. I never put it out. I knew I loved writing. And many persons was like, you know, hey, I want to write a song. I remember Rennie Fortune, she heard me perform and she was like, I need you to write a song. I said, Rennie, I'm not a songwriter. It's just a vibe, and however I catch the vibe, I flow.
If you guys don't know who Rennie Fortune is, that's the oil girl from TikTok, right? A little more oil, right? That's the TikTok.
I say Rennie, I can write a song for you, girl.
Yeah.
You know, it's however the vibe go, whatever feeling, whatever experiencing, I flow from there. And I feel like this is the time for it. No more hiding, no more, you know.
Because, alright, so let me say, I know Deanna since we were little children. We were in primary school together, right? And my aunt is her godmother. So I know this girl a long time. Deanna is not one to be in front and when she told me she write a book, I was in shock. I was shocked. I say, boy, I really want to see what led to writing this book, and that's why we're doing this episode today. Yeah. So we have the book launch this Saturday at Fresh Press Factory in.
It's Naparima Mayara Road, San Fernando.
Cookie. Right. You guys can come out and check it out, but I really want to ask you. Probably what was some of the hardships with writing this book? A lot of people in the creative space, like myself, sometimes when I write in for like a show or something, sometimes I ideas coming and flowing, and then just so
dryness.
Salt. You understand?
Writer's block. So
sometimes you're in the midst of a good idea and then you just lose the train of thought. You lose where sometimes you get such a good idea and you're not home or you're not anywhere to take a note down or wherever. What were some of the challenges you had with pulling together this book and putting this together?
To be honest, one thing that I always do, I always journal. I journal every day. So that's a practice for me. Anywhere I go in, I carry a book, even if it's a little book. Like in the car right now, I have 2 journals, right?
Okay.
If not a phone, everybody have a smartphone.
Yes. Well, that's what I end up using, right? Send myself a voice note sometimes.
That as well.
Yeah.
So what I started doing, even if I do have a book, which is very rare, something might pop in my head.
Yeah.
Send myself a voice note or I write it, you know, and that is how it would flow for me. Most of the pieces, honestly, because there's a section called love notes, so those are love poems. Most of my
for the couples out there,
most of my pieces came from depression, being depressed, or you know, after a breakup, you know, you catch a little banker. Or sometimes it's at a bank truck because it's so big.
Plenty more than that.
Yeah, so one of the pieces in there is called Rib, but I would have wrote that from a male perspective because my cousin asked me to write something for his wedding. Okay. So I wrote that from a male perspective for them. There's one called Silk and Satin Sheets. That point in time, just broke up with somebody and I realized, hey, this person was just using him. You understand? So that talking about basically loneliness. You're finding yourself back doing what you're not supposed to be doing as a Christian, funny kids, and you understand? And all of that in there. Referencing Samson and Delilah. The rib, basically, how you might feel meeting your first love. You think you would see time sister exists. I stare at you, you look away, that kind of vibe, you know. Yeah, so.
Picking me now.
Kind of Indian movie vibes.
But I will say, Deanna, we can't give out, too much from the book. We want people to come out to the book launch this Saturday at the Fresh Press Factory.
From 5 p.m.
From 5 p.m. I'll be your host, and Deanna will be here, of course. We have lots of entertainment to be there. I know for sure Quinton Neckles will be there singing, and there's also Michaela Peters.
And yours truly.
And of course.
With pieces, yes.
So let me ask, there are a lot of other avenues, I would say, now for people to do in spoken word and poetry that we didn't have when we were younger. For sure, the poetry slam and stuff like that. You ever thought about entering any of those competitions?
again.
Because again, the competition could be more than the prize money could be more than 200, right?
Honestly, I don't know what it is, but every time that I consider, Umavi was a big inspiration for me.
Yes.
So I remember sharing, I mentioned him in the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
I remember sharing some of my pieces with Umavi, and he's like, hey, you remind me of Zakia Gill, and put me on to Zakia. And like, seeing Umavi just putting himself out there, not knowing that in person he's the shy, you understand?
Yeah.
And he always used to inspire me, but I always had this fear of what people would say, what people would think, who you feel with, that kind of like those limiting beliefs.
Lord.
So that is something that I had to work through as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the avenue and poetry slam, I just always see it after the fact. I don't know why I don't see it before when it's time to enter. So I don't know, and then
it doesn't work out yet.
Yeah. I don't mind entering, but I always feel like I don't like competition.
Yeah.
In the sense that I feel like if you don't know yourself, not that I'm struggling with that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to say an inferiority complex, but I feel like everybody is a winner in their own way.
Yeah.
And your art is your art. Nobody could tell you, well, your art deserves first place or second place or third place. So that's also something that would have stopped me or prevented me from going forward with that aspect. But hopefully I might catch it next time.
So Soul Cry, we came to that name, Deanna. What led you to Soul Cry? What was the defining moment?
Actually, the name of this book was supposed to be Divine Expressions.
Divine Expressions.
Because Deanna means divine.
Yes.
And it come from me. So I was like, okay, I expressed myself. Why not call it Divine Expressions? And I was praying. And I was like, Lord, I'm not feeling this Divine Expressions, you know. And I said, God, I already not feeling this, you know. And, you know. And I started to hear Soul Cry. I said, okay, that sounds like a vibe. And then, you know, your soul is your mind, your will, your emotion. So all of that, my soul's cry, basically, because everything, not everything, but most of it is personal experiences that I wrote from. So that's my soul's cry. Put it on paper.
So let's say you're 8 years ago, before you even began writing this, right? And somebody, now at this point, you could advise somebody on how to get to this point where they have this hard copy in their hand, right? What's some of the advice you would give to somebody who probably want to write a book or want to do something of this nature? You know, as me, I just try my best not to gatekeep things online and give information as much as I can to help the next generation, because you know, I just try to not say too much, but we get in a little mature, right? We're in the 30s now, you know, and it's hard to say middle age, but we are actually middle aged if you look at average lifespan nowadays, you know. Of course, we pray to God that we cross
the tree score and 10
and going up to the 80s and 90s,
healthy,
you know, healthy. But if we are honest, you know, at this point, I think a lot of wisdom and things now start to come from like 25 up, you know, start to really understand things of life. And it is almost be shocking to me sometimes when, like, my mother and people who older than me calling me, guess what to do with this? It's like, you supposed to be telling me, you know. But I think this, when you hit the 30s, you kind of start to understand this life a little bit more. So what advice you would give to a young person, probably not sure how to get started? What are the steps with writing your own book, getting it printed, all of that? How we get into today?
When I initially had the idea to write a book or to put it together, that was when Umavi was stating that he started writing he started publishing. And I reached out to him and I was like, yo, so who's your publisher? And I met Chadia.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
But at that point in time, I don't think I had a stable job yet. So the price to publish it was out of my range, right? I believe in budgeting. And I believe in batting my crease.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
I believe, but I mean, nothing is impossible with God. And for me, back then, I put that on my vision board, right? And that is something that I kept putting. So at the end of the year, what I do is I look at my goals, what I accomplished this year, what I didn't accomplish, where was the fall, where I fall short, you know? One of my favorite scriptures is Habakkuk, write a vision and make it plain. My family know I am the vision board queen. I am the vision board for everything. You understand? So I had that there since I don't want to lie. I was 24 when I had my first apartment. I was living by myself, and that is when I knew I wanted to write a book. Right? Couldn't afford to do it. And I keep saying, Lord, I needed to connect me with somebody who was in my price range. You understand? So for one thing, have a vision. Right?
Very
have a budget. Know what you can afford, know what you can't afford. For me, I don't believe in cutting back spending, but always have a way to make more money. Right? So apart from my job, I have a little side hustle where I sell cakes and whatever. So I calculate, if I had this sale, I sell in 20 slices of cake, this is more profit, I put aside this amount. Right? This going back into the capital of the business and so on. And I remember...
So it's like a lot of people love the instant gratification. I want to do it now. No, you have to make a plan and see, somebody asked me the other day, so Kes, I see you're keeping big show and thing. They don't know the first show I keep was in my church and hardly 100 people even came, you know what I mean? And you're watching your little money that you take through the show. And you're saying, boy, the first show I think I made like a couple $1,000 profit. I still make something. And I was glad. And it wasn't my ticket sales, I make money, drinks. Drinks and food. That's what make a little bit of money for me the first show. So when people see me now and they're saying, Kes, you have big show and think about it, we just had a show in Sapa that was sold out. No, they could just pop a show in a month and get set up. It's not, it is a progress. It is something that you have to plan. And especially with the money, I just take it a little step further with planning money. You seem more like the play it safe kind of person. But to me, if your goal is not just a little bit out of your reach, then it really isn't too much of an attainable goal. I trust God that goals and visions, if it's something that He wants me to do, we will get it, we will do it.
And that is what it was for me. Because I like, Lord, why you put this in my heart and I don't see any money? Right? I will talk about that on the nights. How we get the finances for this. Right? Because trust me, I didn't have it, and my bank account wasn't smiling at me either. So, but as I say, we'll talk about that on the nights at the show. And it was really a stretch because I had an event last year which was a personal development workshop. I didn't know where the money was coming from. All I know, all year's night, God put that in my heart, run with it, reset, you understand? And with that, I had a lot of time to put aside the money every month, you understand? But with this, it's like, hey, you had a basket then, you had a safety net, trust me now. And it came, and it's still coming, and people pouring, you understand? And
so you got you with the publisher?
Yes. So how I got the publisher, I was getting to that. I started straight. I was watching, I tend to disappear from Facebook a lot. So I was on Facebook at that point in time and I saw Ovis. I can't remember the name of the show.
To the point?
To the point.
Yes, to the point.
Yes.
Big up Digital Den. I actually bought this camera from Digital Den.
And at the point in time, I was living Point Fortin, and I like, well, how I live in right point, and and he had a publisher, and this person was Nigel Wayne.
I know Nigel.
And I reached out to him, didn't have the money, but I reached out. I was like, hey, here, there's a X amount thing, and he was like, no problem. He said, one of my goals is to make publishing and persons writing a book affordable, because that is a big thing.
It is.
Because initially, I think the first publisher I reached out to was charging like 20,000. Right? So that's a stretch for me. You know, you have bills, you have rent, you have car to pay for, you have school to pay for, you have other things going on, unexpected expenses. So it was a reach. And when he told me the price, I like, what? So, big up Nigel. And the quality of the work, and he is really a great person to work with. There were certain things one thing that I was concerned about, I didn't want somebody to hamper my creativity or put me in a box. And when he read it, he was like, this is really good. And that was a compliment for me coming from somebody who edited so many books.
Yes.
You know, and I know trying to dip my foot in the water, get comfortable. And, you know, he gave me little pointers. He's like, you know, if you're a believer, don't say the world or universe or whatever. If you're focusing on Christ, leave it as that. And it's like, okay, we run and whatever.
Give it, praise him, you understand?
So he was like, yeah, we going with that. He's like, but I must commend you. Great work.
All right.
So,
well, I think we could leave it there and let people come out on Saturday and hear the rest of Deanna's story and get into Soul Cry. Copies will be on sale on Saturday.
Actually, it's $2.95 for the ticket, which includes a copy of the book. You're getting wine and finger food at dessert. However, we have a body special for the rest of the week. You pay $500. If you, let's say, you and your wife or you and your whoever, and you just need one book in the house, you pay $500, one copy.
Take turns reading the book.
Yeah. And yes, the book will be available if you want to purchase a copy for a family member.
Yes.
But however, I don't have any more hardcovers. The hardcovers were pre-ordered. I have soft covers and they go at $95.
All right.
And they will be available on Amazon after. Well, as soon as the launch is over, they will be available on Amazon.
Beautiful. For Kindle, whatever,
Everything.
Beautiful. All right, so Soul Cry. You guys can check it out. Well, I guess by the time you're seeing this, it should be close to Saturday. So if you're seeing this, it's available. So see you guys on Saturday.